welcome back to Cast Me to Hell with me, Seb.
And me, Robbie.
And we are back on our silent night.
Yeah.
Deadly night.
There we are.
But we've done the remake and now we're going to do the original. We did everything backwards.
Well, that's how we do it here. We are a backwards bunch, you know.
Yes. So we've done the 2025 remake. There was a 2012 one that I'd never even heard of called Silent Night, but we're forgetting about that. So we are purely doing the OG, the one that is seen. I'd heard about this so many times. This Silent Night, Deadly Night. I think, as I said last time, because when we talked about it in the last episode for the remake, quite often I was confusing scenes with Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, which is like a huge amount of memes basically based on that film. So I think that is the one that is basically the one that's more people almost know, and I thought that's the one I thought I was watching.
Yeah, you've probably seen that. I think most people have seen, Garbage Day, that kind of thing,
yeah.
But the original film, it's one that I watched many years ago. I've watched it a couple of times, and it's such an odd film because I seem to remember it being completely kind of paced different. I seem to remember him being in an orphanage for about 15 minutes, and then a lot more of the actual Silent Night, Deadly Night in question. And actually, it's like 40 minutes of watching this man be beaten by a nun.
Yeah. Half the film is like the setup of him like growing up in an orphanage and then / getting a job at a toy place. And then there's like the rampage, which is basically the other 35 minutes of the film or something like that, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the film is. So yeah, it's a weird like there are some elements of this, like especially at the beginning, that I was like, oh shit, what like this is interesting kind of thing. But it definitely was not like. What I thought with this film is what a lot of people always say they want from a horror film, but what they don't actually want from a horror film, which is like, so you've obviously, I mean, you can't say that there's no setup for story because it's like 45 minutes, but how much of it actually even you remember or even take in is really weird, because I like watched it twice and I was still struggling to be like, but what actually happened apart from just seeing a bunch of boys in an orphanage, I'm not sure I can pinpoint apart from the like opening 10-15 minutes. I can't say like a huge amount that really happened that kept my attention at all kind of thing in that part. But what the part that I more mean is that normally you have the setup of the idea of, for the first part of the film, you'll follow your protagonist and you get to know them alongside and then maybe an antagonist that comes into the picture of a horror film. And a lot of people always say wouldn't it be interesting for the horror film to just follow the killer and be all about the killer? And this film proves that that's not always a good idea.
Yeah.
Not saying that I completely hate this film. I just mean like it shows that it's a weird thing to not really have an actual like someone to root for or someone to think is actually like weird. And when you think of a lot of films, even films that try to do this in certain ways, it doesn't always happen quite the way. It definitely doesn't happen in this, where it's basically just like you die, and then we're done kind of thing. At a certain point, it's like, until I'm stopped, I'm just going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah,
that's what the horror element of the film really is, I guess, outside of the beginning.
It's like the horror equivalent of that Dennis Reynolds movie that he makes, where he's just like, it's banging, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Like we have this really interesting opening.
So
porn, basically.
So it's like porn.
It's like porn for horror.
If you had to follow the guy that was about to pound the lass for about half an hour of what his life was like growing up, of how he ended up as a porn star.
The rest of the pizza deliveries.
How did he end up as this guy?
How did he end up banging the horny MILF in his area?
Yeah.
And I mean that leads me on to our next point. If you want to ensure that there are horny MILFs in your area, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a lovely review. That will attract them all to you. So yeah, I feel like the opening of this film sets up something completely different. It's kind of a very quite by the numbers, but it's quite shocking and it's quite interesting. You know, we get Santa robbing this, you know, not the actual Santa. We get somebody pretending to be Santa.
Well, we get the grandpa obviously first.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people. I
always forget about the grandpa.
Yeah, we open in the care home where we've got his parents who are acting kind of shifty and like a bit like odd. Like his mum's there looking really like upset, and you hear about grandpa, and you assume that dad is. Well, you assume that dad is with grandpa because he's dying or something, or he's died. You get the feeling that someone has just died because mum looks like someone, looks horribly like nervous, and he's went around and then he sees a weird guy that's staring at him through the door, which is like the janitor.
Yeah.
The guy's like looking at him like with a weird stare, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Yeah,
and then granddad just, you know, prangs out. He crashes out and he starts saying like,
well, yeah, because dad comes back and dad's like, and mum's a bit like, "Oh, has it happened? Is it done?" And again, you're still thinking out. Oh, his granddad, you know. Oh no, sorry. No, sorry, I've just mixed that up with the remake.
Yeah, you mixed it up with the remake. I was thinking like...
No, there is still I mixed that with the remake.
That's last week's film.
I'm just... There we go. That's last week's film. I'll just recap that for you. Sorry. No, that's when they go off... Sorry, the whole, like... There's a plot in the remake which is about the possible making Mummy and Daddy look worse.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of them going off and leaving him with Grandad, who's got the weirdest fucking face in the world.
Yeah.
Where he literally looks like he's wax.
Yeah.
The Grandad looks like he's a wax figure just sat there like he's a toy doll from like the 60s. Like one of those action men that move their like jaw like that. Because he just stares at his grandson.
It's like a Thunderbird, isn't it? You know, like...
Now that I'm back onto the right film.
Yes, now you're back onto the right film. You know, you've got a Thunderbird granddad, and he's quiet, and then he just kind of, when the parents are gone, you know, just that cheeky granddad thing of being like, got to be a good boy for Santa, otherwise he's got to come and punish you. You know, you got to be a good boy. And then he winks at him, and then pretends to be catatonic again.
Yeah.
And I never get it because I'm like, Granddad, are you mentally deranged, or are you just an asshole? The wink throws me off so much.
Are you deranged, or are you basically just pretending? Like you're like I love having my ass wiped by someone so much that I'm going to pretend I'm catatonic.
Yeah.
Like, I love getting food fed to me, probably through some kind of a tube or in a liquid form.
Yeah.
I don't have to do shit. They just put me in front of the TV and they literally wipe my ass.
I can shit myself.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
This is the funniest fucking prank in the world. This is so funny. One day I'm just going to like get up out of my chair and they're going to think it's so funny that I did this.
Nothing is class.
Except my grandson. He can fuck off.
Yeah. And then on the drive home, you know, we see...
In that case, that part of the remake's more interesting.
Yeah, that's more interesting.
But we do see... This one, we do see the Santa before, like, robbing like a liquor store, basically.
Yeah, which is cool.
Driving out down the road.
Yeah, he shoots the guy behind the counter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, goes after him and breaks down. And there's this whole kind of scuffle where the dad looks a bit like Richard Gere. I don't know if you noticed that.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, the dad looks a little bit like Richard Gere, and I was like, oh, it's like a Richard Gere lookalike.
Richard Gere.
Just got, yeah.
You know, he's old.
A young Richard Gere. Old. Yeah, a young old Richard Gere who just gets shot. You know, the dad gets shot.
Yeah. But it is all quite like, it's quite brutal and bloody. Like, it's quite
definitely.
like, for an opening, you're like, oh shit, like straight away you've got like Santa like killing one guy in a store. Also, what I think about this that's interesting about this one compared to, say, the remake that I was describing before, is the fact that here there is no real reasoning behind it. This is literally just like some guy who's like a petty thief or murderer, who's just basically like decided to, you know,
just a scumbag.
Yeah, he's just decided to try and take that stuff off of them. Like when they're going down the road, he stops them and just decides that fuck it, I'm just gonna. Yeah. He is like just a murderer kind of thing. So there's no real like reason behind it. It just is like a traumatic event that just happens to happen because he's following behind them kind of thing.
They just crossed paths, you know. Yeah. And then you're confusing it with the remake again. Yes, because in this one, Santa isn't behind them, following them. Santa's
his car
broken
breaks
down.
Sorry, his car.
Yeah.
Broke. I was going to say.
I have to keep a close eye on you.
I was going to say his car broke down, and I was like, no, that wasn't that one.
Yeah.
Jesus, my brain is not working right now. We've watched these two films too close together.
You should watch.
I have melded these two films together.
Should have watched the other remake, just to complicate things further.
This is the one when Santa Claus dresses as Santa Claus, and he fights Michael Myers in the sewer, right?
Yeah.
that's the same film, yeah?
Same film. Yeah, exactly the same
Silent
film.
Night, Deadly Night Ends.
Yeah.
I'm just mixing all the characters together.
Mix them up, man.
Yeah, you're right. They break down and then they pull in,
And then the killing happens. And
thinking that they're alright. He's dressed as Santa, this will be fine.
yeah. And then, Billy's obviously been kind of traumatized by Santa. It's like, don't stop, I don't want to stop.
You get like the baby crying, which adds another thing, because you're like, what the fuck? Like, you're like, what the fuck's going to happen to the baby?
What's going to happen to the baby?
Because you're like not really sure where that would go. So you've got Billy going to hide away, kind of thing, getting out of the height, and then you've got Mum, obviously, who gets dragged out of the car and then gets her tits exposed because it's the 80s.
Because it's the 80s.
So we've got to try and get tits in here when we can.
Yeah, because I was like, I forgot that he raped the mum, and then he didn't.
Yeah,
just gets her tits out.
Yeah, he doesn't like. It looks like she's going to rape her, basically. It looks like we're about to get really dark, going even
video
dark,
nasty
or
stuff.
darker than slitting someone's throat in front of their children while their baby squares it up. Darker than that. But yeah, slitting her throat, and then as Billy's watching through the bush and things like that, it's like, oh shit, it's a quite brutal opening. I liked the opening. I thought for what it is, it sets a clear this film is really not going to hold back kind of thing, because if they're willing to do that, I was literally expecting any second now while he was in the thing to actually hear the baby him just shoot or something.
Yeah, so did I.
The baby to go silent, because they up the sound so clearly of the baby screaming, crying over everything kind of thing, that it sounded like the effect was going to be that when it suddenly stops, you're like, oh shit, we know what happened to baby.
Yeah, and it does. It sets the stakes for a really visceral, brutal film.
Yeah,
and then it's we go to an orphanage for half an hour. And it's like,
and the orphanage is not really. I don't know. This is the thing. In one way, it feels like a montage of an in some ways, because it feels like you kind of jump from scene to scene of what their life's like. But I never really felt like I got to know, because obviously one thing that is in the original is obviously that the nun is quite a kind of I don't know. The nun is kind of your closest you've got to almost having some kind of protagonist who isn't Billy kind of thing, because she pops up throughout the film as someone who's almost there, but she almost seems like she's going to be, I guess we could go with the nun could have been the Loomis or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then she's never used like that. She's mainly just kept into later on in the film, she's just kept to one room where she's talking to a detective.
But then she's also a bit of an antagonist, because she's just she's so overwhelmingly strict. There's the scene where it's a bit odd, because you genuinely spend half an hour in this orphanage, and there's a handful of bits that I remember. They definitely discuss how Billy doesn't really like Christmas anymore, but they talk about
we get the fucking amazing scene of him fucking down in Santa.
Yeah.
And he literally just uppercuts him fucking bang.
Yeah. We get
that was one bit I did like. Cause it
just
made me
absolutely
laugh.
hooks
I'm not
him.
sure it's meant to make me laugh, but I was just like, that was great.
Just absolutely clarts it.
It just suddenly gets triggered by seeing, when you see little parts of Santa, like elements of Christmas, he starts to get triggered. When he literally sees Santa, he just fucking uppercuts him.
Yeah, just
fucking lays him out on the ground. Yeah, that little kid does a good job of that. Santa looks out cold.
And the other bit I remember is him just walking in on two people banging.
Yeah.
And then the nun comes in and it's just naughty. Starts hitting them with a ruler.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I'm like, what else happens in this orphanage?
Was it just that nun though? Because I thought there was a more antagonistic.
I don't think there's two nuns.
And then
there's Mother Superior.
She was the slightly kinder nun, even though she'd still be naughty kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there was one that was much more brass, and there was more of the one that gave the beatings, and then there's the one that's more of the one that Billy somewhat saw as he saw her somewhat more of a kinder compared to the other nun.
Yeah.
Because the one that truly beats you and then the one that slightly beats you is the kind.
That's it, you know. Well, that's Catholicism.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
like,
it.
Both are
If they
superior.
only rap you on the knuckles, then that's the kind. Then.
That's a
if
very
they beat you and then take you around the back for a dodger,
Yeah.
that's the bad kind of priest or nun.
Yeah, that's it. You know?
It's the difference. That's the difference between Catholics.
Yeah.
You can either be the one that just hits them or the one that diddles them.
Yeah. I mean, we're maybe 20 minutes in, and we had a diddling joke.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
I think when we did The Ritual, which is another film that, you know, Catholicism heavily features, I don't think we lasted that long.
Oh yeah, The Ritual.
Yeah.
There you go. See,
it all
a little
links.
plug for our upcoming is best worst of the year, and I won't say it now, but The Ritual that left my brain.
Yeah.
That's one that should be discussed in that episode.
It may. A little tease for you. Yeah, but apart from those, I can't really think of what actually happens at the orphanage. I remember every time I watch this, I fall into this weird trap where I'm like, the opening and the start of this orphanage bit has a very, like, Italian horror vibe to it. Like, it kind of reminds me of Nightmares in a Damaged Brain kind of thing, you know, where it's, like, very, like, repressive about, like, how people behave. And
it is mainly just certain scenes of, like, how he's been, repressed, I guess, of how he's been told every time that he's, like, naughty or bad. Like, that's why I said, like, montage, because it doesn't feel like it's really fully telling us a story. It's just giving us scenes. It just gives you a couple of, like, scenes that feel like, but they just seem to keep going on, or you're, like, watching them and you're like, I don't know. I know it definitely wasn't drawing me in. It wasn't like really engaging. Like after that opening, it felt like, oh shit, like what is this going to be? That felt like a really long. And then once he's actually grown up as well, because obviously one I guess we do find is that his brother Ricky, is it? I think.
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky. Like so, baby wasn't killed.
No,
because Ricky is still there. It's kind of thing.
Well, they need a sequel.
Yeah, that's it. They're going to set one up for the sequel.
Yeah.
They need another child of repression to
That's
go crazy. But yeah, so I don't know. Then we get him grown up, and we get that. And this was by far the weird. Like this, I only got to about the end of like just before he turned Santa crazy, basically. Before the first time I watched it, before I fell asleep, and then I had to rewatch it again later. But I found this bit was so... One, you've got the entrance for him of the nun basically trying to get him a job with the guy and like saying his age and being like, well, you need to be pretty you've
got to be lifting boxes all day. I can't have a child doing this.
Yeah. And then they're like showing him
and she goes like, oh, okay, well, I'll come and show him round for you. He's like, oh, I'm not interested. Oh, Billy. And then it like pans around his feet. Literally, and he's like an absolute unit.
Like Schwarzenegger in Terminator, the first time you see him, it's this muscular thing, like the light shining behind him. It's this. It's that basically that, like he walks in and they just show his body going up like he is now muscular.
I am a muscular man.
Yeah, he has been working out apparently.
Yeah.
All of that punching Santa's got some job.
Yeah. You gotta work away the repression. You know?
And
then, be a normal person.
So now he's this like nice, really like kind of sweet kind of kid. Like he comes across quite like to a certain kind. He's like thoughtful of others. He's working really hard, and all of it is backed by basically like a 70s sitcom soundtrack of whatever that song is, where he's basically doing a bunch of things, and it literally feels like we're watching like the hijinks of like, oh, don't drop that box, and oh, what are you doing this time? And, oh, don't put that sign up wrong. And
well, the funny thing about that is there's two reasons, and the first is I definitely think that this movie got its budget through like Star Wars, because all of the stuff in the back, all the toys are just Star Wars toys, and it's like, don't drop this Luke Skywalker disposable figure, you know, don't drop this life-size Death Star.
Yeah, all the merchandising there, like, but just prompted that.
But then the actual montage itself sets things up so differently, because we're introduced to the store manager. And he's like, oh, no, I don't think I need any help. I don't think I can do it. and then you have the montage, and everybody there is like really playful.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they're like all like laughing and joking around with each other, and you know, like somebody's doing something funny. The stock the stock manager's laughing.
It literally is like that whole humor of like two guys stood back to back.
That back-to-back classic move.
I like to keep tidy,
Yeah.
and I'm a mess. Come and watch us Friday night on ABC or whatever. You know what I mean? It literally is like that.
It's so like that, and then as soon as the montage is done, everybody's just an asshole.
Yeah, because you've got this setup with the girl where it seems like actually like they've got a bit of her and Billy and I think Rachel or something. I think her name is or something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, like they look like they're like a little bit flirty with each other. And then the second we come back in, she's interested in a completely different bloke who's a rapist.
Yeah.
The guy who's literally like a dick to her, and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna go with you.
It was the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, we were in the 80s. It was all about. What do they call
Asshole
it?
Italians.
Asshole Italians. That was the.
Not saying you are assholes Italians, but apparently Italian Americans in the 80s were assholes.
Well, that's the. If you were an Italian American in the 80s, your two roles were either kind of like mobster or asshole, and then subdivision, or taxi driver, bodega owner.
Or the why I oughta husband in a sitcom that definitely beats his wife.
Yeah, the why I oughta, it was a different time, it's fine. Right. People have...
That's what you can do. They loved watching, a little joke about, if you do that again, I'll beat you.
You do it, I'll beat you.
Because that's always funny.
Yeah, it is hilarious, but yeah, and then the store manager is just a bellend all of a sudden.
Yeah, even though he seemed really quite kind of thick, like they completely changed. If we read into the montages as if that's the way that Billy sees it, as he's trying to keep everything happy in his world, we can take that as the montage is Billy's happy place, as in I think everything's happy because I need to stay in this frame of mind.
Yeah.
And then we go to reality when actually everyone actually treats him like an asshole, but he just gets on with it.
No, sorry, I'm fine.
That's me trying to justify that there might be, and then I've got nothing to back that up except if I was thinking that's the only thing I can think of that would justify that's why it's such a weird fucking montage followed by assholes.
Well, it's weird anyway because it's a $750,000 budget. I read.
Yeah.
So not an overwhelmingly big budget, and it went on to make $2.5 million. I think, according to Wikipedia, as my sources say.
Always.
Yeah, always reliable. And it's set in Utah, and you have the shots of the orphanage are quite cool when it's the outside, and it's just this big building, and there's nothing around.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is there's so few shots of things that you kind of spend the whole time not knowing what time period it is, because in my mind everybody's dressed as if it's cold. So I was like, he got this job in October, September, and
if you're going to do a Christmas guy dress film, you kind of feel like it's going to be somewhere that's basically snowy, because it just seems to match up with the idea that you're going to do a Santa horror. It feels like that. But yeah, you're right. Most of the whole film basically feels like he goes into a building and then into another room. Basically,
just room to room.
Just, through that. And then you get occasional shots of outside of a house maybe, or outside of a building. When he's leaving one later on when he kills the two in the house with, and leaves the present later. He walks outside and you see it's a bit snowy when he goes out of the house. But that's one of the few shots where he's actually getting an exterior shot. They're just interior, which... You're right. It does speak to budget that you're having to film inside of houses or inside sets, but not anything no money to really do big outside where the lights can be different, or you got to buy extra lighting and stuff. And then that's pretty much leads on to pretty close to when we're getting near to the obviously does dress up well. No, he doesn't. I'm going to let you feel that. My brain is going, am I going to go into the other one again?
You're veering into it. I could feel it.
I can feel it because I'm going, am I... Literally, I swear to God right now, I'm imagining the 2025 remake, but the whole film to me looks like it was filmed in the 80s.
Yeah, it's merged.
I have made it look in my brain as if it is like that. These scenes in my head are no, they look too old and gritty. That's got to be that scene. And it's my brain has turned it. AI ain't got nothing on my brain.
your brain's just constantly.
My brain is making these images. I don't need to type into AI Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025 in 80s style.
You need to watch films. You just imagine it,
yes.
And it's all that thing where like it's a celebrity's life and they're just moving and shifting into another film. Oh, I've seen that film. Yes,
I've seen that one. That's
in like 6 seconds. I saw it. You're going to infect me as well. It's going to be like Five Nights at Freddy's when we couldn't place the year. We got really confused. So he does dress up as Santa. He comes in and the usual Santa that they've got is out of commission. That's the same in both. Yeah, similar. Well, he's killed. Nope, don't ignore this. There may be spoilers. I just didn't realise that. Focus on this film. He does ask the asshole Italian American to be Santa, and he's like, "I'm not doing it." You know, I was about to go into an accent there. Let's stay away from that.
I had the girl thing to jump in there with an accent started to talk about
let's stay away from it. Let's stay away from people imitating accents full stop. Gabagool. It's not Sopranos in this. So he's saying like, no, I'm not doing it. I'll get you fired. You know, I don't think he's the assistant manager. Maybe he is, but I'll get you fired. Do it, or you're not having a job. And he does it, and then I think it kind of starts out all right, but you can tell he's kind of a bit freaked by it. Yeah. And then they have the Christmas party. Everybody's everybody's steaming, and that's where he's like, I think I want to make a move on Rachel. Placeholder name. She dies in a minute. I want to make a move on her. And then I was about to say Vince, the asshole Italian American, is then basically like, yeah, let's have sex. She's like, no, I don't really want to have sex. And he's like, well, it wasn't a question. I'm gonna have sex.
Yeah.
For lack of a better, to paraphrase it, and he rips the tits out, of course.
Yes.
And I was every time I'm like, oh, she's in it for a bit longer, isn't she? Like, she's the kind of, she's the main protagonist. He goes off on
because you've set up a girl that he likes. You think, oh, she must be the one that survives from him, like trying to survive the night and stuff. And no.
Instead, just naughty.
Yeah. Just naughty.
Just naughty. And I'm just going to strangle her.
Things. That's what I mean. Like, he kills him and then offs him, which to be fair, with the deaths and stuff like that, it adds an effect that actually, like, you're expecting her to live, and he and then you're like, oh shit, okay, actually he murders her as well. It adds a kind of brutality to it that he's like, I'm not letting you get away either, because you're also like, even though you were the one that was about to be raped, you were naughty.
That is a fucking wild take, isn't it? Like when you watch it. And especially when you're like, if you watch it when you're younger, maybe, and you're like, oh, okay, you're like, oh, they're just having sex, and he was getting a bit forceful, and oh no. But if you actually think about it, like, he's trying to rape her, and he's like, I'll kill the rapist, cool. I agree with you on that, Billy. That's fine.
She's horrified, which she would be, because he's just murdered someone in front of her, which is not as much as you may feel that is what happened. That's not the way. If it happens in front of you, you're going to be fucking freaked out. Like, if you're capable of killing that guy, what is that, like, what's wrong with you, kind of thing. And then obviously to her screaming reaction of, oh my god, what have you done? He's just like, naughty.
Naughty.
You're naughty. You tried to get. You tried to get.
Yeah.
No. That's not what I meant to say.
That's what
you were almost raped. We're in a horrible position, and now I'm going to come in, murder someone in front of you, so you feel even worse. And now I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
That's what I mean by, like, in some way, like the slightly haunting beginning. You still kind of got that he actually is like a bit of a fucking hell. This guy is insane.
Yeah, it does feel very biblical, doesn't it? I imagine they'd be like that.
And at this point, avoiding the orphanage and the weird, the weird 70s, 80s sitcom that happened for a little while. At this first one, you're like, okay, so we're back on it now. It took longer than I actually originally thought. I thought it was going to get into it faster, but I was like, okay, so we've got this death, kind of good like deaths and stuff like that, like kind of good setup. And this is where but this is the early point when it's like you thought she might be the protagonist, and then you're like, so we're just following him killing people. And then this is the one bit when it starts to be like, although we get some cool deaths, it starts to be like, so this is just it. Like, this is all it is. Like, we get a couple of scenes of a detective and a nun, but mainly it's just, he's now going to walk into another room, basically, and kill someone else.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And it's not that that's a bad thing, it's just...
It's odd.
It's odd, and it feels lacking in a way, and like feels something lacking about the kind of the story of that. I actually just saw a fact about, because this opened the same weekend as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Christ.
And this outdid Nightmare on Elm Street in its first weekend, because it was in. So they put this film in more theatres than Nightmare on Elm Street, so it was in more cinemas. So it made about 100,000+ more than Nightmare on Elm Street. But the difference was, by weekend 2, Nightmare on Elm Street was making like way more than it made in its first weekend, and this film would drop like half of its amount because everyone was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street because we have covered it, and I don't want to go on another tangent, but that's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, weirdly enough, whenever I think of 1984, I always do think of Elm Street, because that's such like just an ingrained year, I think.
Yeah.
You think of like a massive horror franchise, and I'd never put 2 and 2 together.
No.
But then they
were the same kind of time.
But when did this come out then? I don't say 1984. I don't set myself up for one there. It came out in the year that it came out, that you said. What month?
Someone at home be like, you fucking missed it.
Yeah, don't say it. That's the time. Could you call it?
I'm putting I'm doing a lot of risque comments.
You are. Imagine somebody pauses it, right? Like, what year is it? I had enough of these guys.
I'm done.
Yeah. What day and month did this come out? Because surely this would come out around Christmas time, and Nightmare on Elm Street would come out around
Halloween time.
That's really odd.
I don't have that in front of me.
Oh, well, you should.
But I will find that out very quickly.
Yes. Well.
So tell me what's next.
Well, you get the scene where Billy kills his boss with an axe, which is quite it's quite a cool scene. I think, but then that's just it. He strangles the Italian American with the Christmas lights. He kills Pamela. Her name is Pamela, like in the remake.
Pamela, I thought it was Rachel.
I thought it was Rachel.
I don't know where Pamela came.
No,
I don't know where Rachel came from.
Yeah, well, he kills her with a box cutter. He murders Mr. Sims, the manager, just axes him in the back. Don't worry about it. And then kills somebody else. I can never really remember that. I think it's with a bow and arrow.
I have the information now. I'm going to interrupt you for 2
Interrupt me,
seconds.
please.
9th of November, 1984. Both were released on the 9th of November. But to be fair, Nightmare on Elm Street was more of a limited release in its first weekend, whereas this was the wide release.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of why it beat one out.
Yeah.
By the second weekend, it was released wider, so more cinema for Nightmare on Elm Street, whereas obviously, as I said, this one dropped a bunch.
And everyone's like, let's go watch Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let's go and do Nightmare on Elm Street. And yes.
Yeah.
One, I guess, survived more the test of time.
Yeah. Well, the good nun, Sister Margaret, the good nun, turns up and discovers, that this has happened, because they find out that Billy has had to dress up as Santa, and she's like, "Oh, that's gotta make him crash out." That's not a good idea.
I didn't tell the people in the toy store that we should make someone dress as Santa or be around Santa Claus.
Yeah,
in the toy store.
All a bad move on her part,
I mean, the Catholic Church.
Yeah, that's good. So
that's all I had. I'm just leaving it there.
Just leave it there. And this is the scene where they then break in on the young couple making love in the rather kind of very 80s wood panel property. And she gets she gets naughty, and she gets put through the stack.
Yeah,
she gets naughtied.
Yeah, that because you've got the whole setup of a sex scene basically. Yeah. But then her getting chased through. Yeah, it's quite fun because it's quite a good effect as well, because it's like he lifts her up, but it's like a slow
Yeah.
Because you slowly see him pushing her onto it, and you do see it like come through her kind of thing. So it is quite like
It's good.
It is kind of like quite an interesting death in that way. I'm blanking on his death though. How does he die? Do you remember?
I'm sure
Because he goes after the guy, and then because like he's gone out of the room. He's gone out of the room, hasn't he? Because he kills her first.
Yeah, and then he has the scuffle, and it's. I mean, I always think.
I remember the end of the scene. I don't know why I'm blanking on his death.
Well, he batters him for a little bit. The shagging man batters Billy for a little while, and he uses like a fire poker, and it kind of makes it look as if Billy's got to use the poker, or if Billy's got to like throw him into the fire or something. But he throws him out of a window.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeets him out of a window like Friday the 13th game. You know, he just throws
him in a fireplace, or I don't know, shoving a hot poker up his ass.
Give him the Richard the Third.
Why does that sound more Christmassy to me?
It does, doesn't it?
Than throwing you out a window. Again, though, there you go, exterior shot.
Exterior shot.
But then he does he gifts the little girl
the box cutter.
Box cutter.
Yeah.
And leaves her kind of with that for then, and then as he's going out, I think you hear a scream kind of thing. Is she obviously be like, there's a new ornament on the wall.
Yeah, there's the babysitter. Still doesn't explain the box cutter that I got given.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, what? Yeah. I guess he keeps the box cutter on it because of his job.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I was more like, where'd the box cutter come from? But I was like, he probably has it in his pocket.
Well, he uses it to kill somebody at the store. And we both worked in supermarkets. We had box cutters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that kind of.
Not
the kind where you slide a blade out, like got it like that kind of thing. Mine was always like the crappy ones where I could do no harm.
Yeah. Well, this is why, they saw this
is why they
preemptively changed it.
This is why they don't make you dress up like Santa Claus anymore.
Yeah, it went wrong last time they did it. And then you get, and this is it. The film just literally goes to like Billy will kill someone or a bunch of people, and then Sister Margaret will go, oh, somebody out there dressed as Santa killing someone. We need to do something.
You only get like really tiny, like short scenes that kind of just jump back on as if like she's heard about it and then she's the next kind of one, but not feeling like anything's being really done about it.
No.
As if she's there with a police officer being like, oh, so we'll just keep talking about this. We won't go and stop him. Well, let's just keep talking about it.
Keep talking. Yeah. Because then you get the scene with the bullies where they take the kid's sleigh, and they're like, oh, it's mine now, mate. Don't worry about it. Go on, fuck off. You're getting another one for Christmas.
Them naughty boys.
And then we get the decapitation.
Yeah.
Which is a good scene. But it's just...
With the two boys
on
the sled. Like when the one sets up, they're messing around, and then the one goes up down, and then you literally just out of nowhere, he pops up and just he eats his head off.
He eats his head off, and then the head, the sled rolls back down, to the boy, and it's a fun scene.
It is. It kind of comes out of nowhere. I felt like it was just kind of like suddenly, like he's just suddenly there. Like,
well, that's it.
I guess that's part of the rampage. That he's just killing. He's just killing whatever he's finding.
But the problem is, and I find this...
Like, there's no... Like, what I thought the whole thing, though, was naughty.
Well, the bullies.
They'd
be naughty.
Yeah, they're naughty.
They did but then the other kids didn't share, so that's naughty as well. So we should have killed them.
They're all
naughty. Yeah. But then, here's my problem with the film is... I think it's like an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's really pretty short. Like,
it's a brisk
in fact,
film.
The theoretical version was 19 minutes, and the unrated's like 24 minutes.
Yeah. So it's a very short film as it is, and they spend like 40 minutes at the orphanage, and then maybe like 10 minutes, with the montage and him working, and then you genuinely have like 35 minutes where there's just him just rampaging round, and I kind of feel like they could have made a much more coherent and a much stronger film if they just got rid of large chunks of that orphanage stuff, because it goes from like he's in the orphanage and he does, he sees the kids having sex and he hits Santa, and then 10 years later he's in the orphanage, some other shit happens, and then he's working.
It feels like the orphanage bit could have been way cut down to just like, we get the point. where he's moved into an orphanage. We got kind of get the point, and then we should have had more of him maybe as a story, not a montage, an actual story, like a narrative. Of what is his day-to-day life, not like a weird 80s sitcom, basically.
And what's the what's his aim? Because the next morning, once he's after he's killed the kids with the sleigh, they somehow figure out that he's going to go to the orphanage.
Well, they just think he's going to he's well, he's killed, he's going to go back to where he was I
think it's because Ricky's there, isn't it? His brother's there, so they're like, well, he's got to go back and see his brother, and they turn up and then they just shoot another priest dressed as
you just literally see a Santa walking towards children and just go fucking blast him.
It's like Ben Tramer.
We're going to check this for a minute. We're going to go, maybe just make sure it's not fucking
blast him. You can't risk
Even
it.
Ben Tramer was a goddamn accident in some ways. He was getting warned at him, but the car accident was technically this. This is just fucking straight up murder. This is just a police officer. Okay, this is literally, this, I don't know. My mind was American police. This is just there's the guy, shoot him.
Shoot him. Was it the right guy? Maybe.
His back was turned. I put some bullets in him. That's it.
Say That's
it.
Go.
I get to keep my job.
I get to keep my job. I get to promote it. He would have done something. It's like Minority Report. Right? He would have done something one day.
I put some drugs on him.
I put some drugs on him. He was a priest.
I've always got a bit of crack in the pocket. Just in case. I just sprinkle it on his beard. He was trying to sell it to kids.
He was trying to sell it to kids. Kill him. And then he turns up, and you kind of get this idea that he's got to kill Mother Superior, and she's in this wheelchair, and then he gets shot.
There's no that's the weird thing. It goes from the day the evening before to the next day, and they're talking about the event as if the nun's now suddenly going to have a major role to play in actually stopping him, or having a part in this kind of thing. We often have a Santa Claus, technically it's Father O'Brien, so we kill a priest.
We kill a priest. It's got to go down well.
There you go. And you feel like there's some kind of setup here for a Ricky or the nun, or some kind of, I guess, a showdown or more massacre to happen, because it feels like in a way that even though yes, we've killed a fair few people in a quick what feels like very quick death to death to death. It feels doesn't feel like you get time to take it in. You never get any chance to really get to know any of these characters, so you don't give a shit about anyone because you don't know anyone at any point really. That includes Billy and the nun, to be honest. It's just not enough fleshed out at all. You can't tell a story through montage. Basically, is what it feels like. It's a montage of death, an 80s sitcom montage, an orphanage montage,
an orphanage drama.
Only the opening really allows it to feel like you're actually hearing characters properly have conversations and actually do stuff and then it suddenly feels like everything goes on fast forward mode and you're just watching everything 1.4 times the speed because it's just that's it. And so it's really weird that you feel like you're building to some kind of major thing for him to just be shot.
And then he says don't worry kids, Santa's gone now, and Ricky ends up going naughty and pointing at the nun. And maybe that's picked up in the sequel, which I haven't watched. However,
I've heard the sequel is basically literally half of the film is basically retelling this film, which I don't know how the fuck you spend 45. We're nearly at 45 minutes into this podcast, and I feel like we've retold it. And if we hadn't had a lot of fucking about, we could have done this in an easy
half an hour.
So I don't quite know. But I've literally heard the sequel is literally the first 45 minutes is basically a retelling of the first film in a weird way, almost from a different perspective. But it's just retelling the first. It's cut together, and then the last 2/3 or maybe even half is an actual new story of Ricky just going on a rampage. That's what it is. That's what I've heard.
I might want to try and watch it, and
I do want to check it out purely, for the memes.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this is a bad film, but it's kind of what I said to you when we were driving to see the new one. I was like, it's as if there's an act of this film completely misplaced or missing.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted some third act when he gets to the orphanage, and something else is going to happen, and then they're just like, we run out of money, just shoot them.
I feel like it's just, it does feel like, there's a missing a third act. I also think it's generally just missing character development, mainly. Like, we don't really get to know anyone enough, or get enough idea.
Well,
just
for a film
telling us stuff that's like giving background in a way you think he's telling a story, but it's not. It's not getting us to know a character.
No,
we're not learning a lot about him really. We're just getting the basic ideas, the hints. It still feels like a caricature, like a cutout of someone. That's like, we need to still fill you in of what you are.
Yeah.
Talking about Catholic Church and filling you in.
Leave that alone.
But that's mainly what you've kind of, which I thought you've kind of got here, which is like, when the kills are happening, it's great, but I do think, like, outside of the opening with, like, the weirdness of the grandpa, which, again, kind of works, like she said, like, a kind of, it's a bit Italian horror, like, as you said, like, there's a weirdness to it that somewhat draws you in. And at the start of the orphanage scene, I was still a little bit drawn in, but then it just went on, and I was like, what is going on? Like, and it really does, like, that whole section loses your attention.
Yeah.
And sadly, the killing stuff, although it's got some good deaths in it, it's again, it feels too quick. It feels like we just suddenly get cut short. So it feels like we're only getting parts of a film here.
Yeah, and it's the ultimate of that kind of 80s slasher horror where they can't even be bothered to be like, this is the nerd. He's got to go do something nerdy. Kill him. This is the cheerleader. She's go and kill her. It's literally like, you stumble on these two people having sex. Kill them.
Yeah.
These next guys are doing this. The sledding.
They're just bullied. Just take that out. Like that is what I mean. Like, they literally take it further than even a lot of horrors do, where horrors at least give you a stereotype to play off of. Mainly these ones just go, there's someone. Kill him.
Kill him, mate.
In a way, you could be like, okay, so it's a guy on a rampage. He is just killing person after person after person, which is what I was talking at the start, that like a lot of people like mention sometimes with horror films or certain characters, they basically just want to see them killing. Can we just see the killing and stuff like that? And I do think that there's an element there where if I think of films where someone mainly like, we'd be like, you follow a character that gets to do a lot of killing, like Halloween Kills, I guess, is quite like that. But there's a whole legacy and knowledge of characters, and there is still somewhat of a story there that you're like, I enjoy getting to see this character finally get to just basically go out and go insane and kill people, because there's a whole build-up of character and story behind this that makes it that, why can't you just have a film where he gets to go and fucking mainly kill? Well, like, that's been built up. Like, but here, we've got none of that character or legacy to be like, I'm happy to just watch you just kill people in a Santa costume.
But another two examples that are kind of a bit like that are almost like Terrifier and a Violent Nature. I was about to say A Walk Through Nature. That where it's kind of, it's seeing it from the villain's view, and you follow them a lot more. But that's, both of those still have elements where you are seeing kind of a story play out alongside it, and you're seeing who some of the characters are, and you're getting more of a sense of it. Whereas this, genuinely, it feels like, if like the kills are good and the kills are fun, but it feels like if they skipped that first orphanage bit, or like trimmed it down by like 25-30 minutes, and then spread that out around his adult life, maybe showing him slowly starting to get attached and slowly starting to become more unhinged, it might be better. That's what I mean. That whole like idea of like, this is why he's repressed, but then we have very little build up to why he suddenly goes, kind of thing, and it feels like that should be longed out. It feels like we should have more of that. He's going. It feels like that comes to a conclusion very quickly. Like, I know we got to see him absolutely fucking wail on Santa Claus when he was a kid, but most of the time it's like, I don't actually feel like the idea that he's going to snap is made that clear until he actually like just suddenly just starts just killing. It's like, okay, there wasn't really much of a like, this is really going to drive me insane kind of thing. It's just more of a, he's got the suit on, he's gone now, he can't control, off we go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those horrors like we get every once in a while, and to be fair, even ones like you said, like In a Violent Nature and Terrified, to be fair, where I like those ones that would go into my head for the same kind of a similar reason for this is that it just feels like something's missing. Even on those ones, when you're following like a killer mainly, it always just feels like there's an element of story or emotional development that you don't get, that somewhat takes you out of this narrative of it, and you do kind of find out that just watching people die after a while is actually not actually as good as people
sort
think
of vibe,
it is.
yeah.
Like just violence for the sake of violence becomes a bit of a white noise after a while. Like watching Transformers.
Yeah, doesn't it? You know, and then one's an ape.
Yeah,
like we said,
watching them bash each other, watching CGI bash CGI, and then you're like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then like after a while, you're like, or what is it, Batman versus Man of Steel, when he basically fights Zod, and they just fight each other for like a fucking hour, and you're like, I've seen people bash through buildings for about an hour now. My brain is literally mush. Of like, what is this?
I've had enough. Yeah,
I'm done.
I don't know, man. It does get a bit like that.
I get in somewhat like why it's got like a kind of
cult following. Yeah.
I get the elements of those things. I just think that outside of like the opening and then some of the deaths and stuff, for me they're just not a lot. There's not a lot really that I'd be like, oh, this is going to be a Christmas favorite kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's not like things like that. It's not got the depth. It's not got the character of something, say like Black Christmas, like which was earlier than that, but had much more going for it in terms of like style, in terms of character, in terms of like an interesting way to kind of tell this kind of tale. I mean, the original Black Christmas, not the shitty remakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think it's got that for me as like a Christmas kind of film. Like I can't say I preferred the remake to this one.
Yeah, same. That's what I said, isn't it?
I saw this after the remake, to be fair. So properly, I saw it properly after. I saw half of it, then the other half after.
Well, I did it the other way, and I still prefer the remake.
Yes.
It's all right.
Yeah.
How to sum it up?
It's okay. It's one of those things. They're not one of those. It's not something I'd be like, yeah, this is a horror that you need to see kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's another segment we do on that, so I won't use that term. That's copyrighted for our other segments.
Yeah, we don't want to take out legal action against ourselves.
Don't say it.
Yes,
the must.
Well, I mean, it sounds as if we've ticked off Silent Night, Deadly Night
for this Christmas
season, and the remake. So maybe one day we'll do the first remake, the 2012 remake, and we'll confuse all three of the films together.
Yeah, we'll confuse every element of it and be like, what happens?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Maybe if you make an edit of all three films, it will make one film that makes perfect, complete sense.
Maybe.
And has those things, because even for us, the remake had a kind of a third act problem kind of thing, and this one had no third act.
No.
So maybe 2012 has a third act, and we can edit it together to make one ultimate Silent Night, Deadly Night.
The ultimate cut. Well,
that will also make no sense.
Yeah.
Who's that character?
That's it. Well, I mean, if you're a fan of Silent Night, Deadly Night, come and let us know. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at CMTH Podcast. As always, remember to hit that subscribe button for new episodes as soon as they release, and horny MILFs in your area. We hope that you have a great Christmas. We've got another episode coming for you next week, and then we will be into the new year. As always, play us out, boys.